Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Hello and
We are
welcome.
off to a running
We are off
start.
to a running start. This is MK,
And I am Cogent Blue, and
and
together we
we
are somewhat splendid.
somewhat splendid. Not obviously,
Somewhat.
obvious,
Somewhat. Let's emphasize the importance here of somewhat splendid.
somewhat splendid. And we'll hopefully get more competent as we actually start the game, which, as you can see from the title screen, is Dark Souls Remastered. This is a
Dark Souls
Dark Souls. So yes, this is a
Remastered.
Let's Co-op playthrough of Dark Souls. We have both played Dark Souls before, many times, uh, and co-opted before. So you're going to say something?
I was, but it was nothing appropriate. So
Okay,
continue, please.
okay. So yes, we have played Dark Souls before, but we're doing a Let's Co-op. So we are going to be co-oping the game together as much as possible. Obviously, there are certain places where we can't co-op, including the beginning of the game,
Which
and
sucks.
yeah. But so we're going to be doing that, and we are going to be perhaps joined by special guests at some point. We'll probably do some episodes that are just us doing co-op because we have a problem. We have a little bit of a
We do.
co-oping addiction. We love to do it.
Co-op
So,
anonymous.
yep. So we may spend entire episodes where all we do is co-op, and then and so
So much co-oping.
yep, other people's lovely faces and trials and tribulations in Dark Souls can be featured.
Absolutely. And once we get to a point where we have a few followers who would like to follow us along, we can maybe set out a tweet or something there, MK, and we can maybe ask some folks to join us and we can co-op with them too.
I don't do the Twitter. I'm an old lady.
Yeah, okay, the Twitters. We'll send out
It's
pigeons. We'll
okay.
send out messaging
Send up a
pigeons
smoke
to find
signal.
all the crazy kids to
Yep.
co-op with.
We may also, if you invade us, we may call you out in the description of be like, "Hey, this is the player."
So much calling out. All the calling out. So much calling out.
Without further ado, I'm going to actually start a new game.
Me too. Oh
Oh
my
my
God, it's like we're
God.
playing together.
I know.
This is amazing. Now, if you haven't figured this out, MK and I have been friends for at least 2 or 3 minutes. So we have actually been playing together for a very long time. As a matter of fact, she got me into this game, for which I have now had no social life for the last 4 years because of it. Not that I'm passing blame. So we have done this before. So MK, why don't you go ahead and talk all about what you're doing, and I'm going to sit here and quietly build my character.
Oh well, I'm also building my character.
Oh my
So
God, we're doing it together.
I know. So what we're doing with characters is we are playing classes and styles with which we are not as familiar or as comfortable. I'm playing a pyromancer, which you may be surprised to learn is the only class I have never played in Dark Souls 1. I did play a pyromancer in Dark Souls 3, but I've never actually started with this class in Dark Souls 1. I've certainly used pyromancies before, but I've not done it where it's like this is the thing that I do. I'm also, as much as I can, going to be a caster so that my secondary weapon, unless I completely fail at it and am forced to do something else, is actually going to be sorcery. So I'm going to focus on intelligence, a little bit of dexterity, and attunement for the most part. In my build, just to make myself as pure a caster as possible, which is as far from my comfort zone as possible.
And I too am going to wander out of my comfort zone. I am definitely a Dex magic character. I'm almost first and foremost always a magician or sorcerer or mage, and I have never ever started this game in all the thousands of hours, literally, of gameplay. I have never played as a tank. So I am going to build my version of the Giant Dad, starting off as a wanderer. So I am
Aren't
super
giant dads supposed to
excited.
start as bandits?
I'm going to start as a bandit, which is like a wanderer but different.
Yeah.
Goes to show how much research I've done on this. I don't even know which
Well,
classes.
he actually did do research, but it was a while ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm old, and I don't remember words.
Yeah.
Words are hard. So what gift are you going to be taking, MK?
I'm going to be taking the Old Witch's Ring, which is the gift I always take. It's the very first gift I've taken, and the one that I take most often. And for those who, let me get out of this a little bit. Um, I'm going to go based on the assumption that some people watching this may never have played Dark Souls 1 before.
Yes.
And you may also hear me make reference to people who have played Dark Souls 3, because I imagine, especially with the remaster on the PS4, there might be some people, or a number of people, who are coming to Dark Souls 1 by having played Dark Souls 3 first. So you play Dark Souls 3 in the PS4, or, you know, one of the next-gen consoles, and then Dark Souls Remaster comes out, and you go, what is this Dark Souls? And you can hear...
This?
So yes, I may make reference to like how this compares to Dark Souls 3, etc. So, but if you've never seen this at all, you know, these are the starting gifts, and some of them, you know, may look familiar to those of you who have played Dark Souls 3, like the Black Firebomb. The Goddess's Blessing is actually 3 divine blessings. So that's what that. There's no item called the Goddess's Blessing. It's just you get 3 divine blessings to start with, which isn't a bad starting gift, as long as you don't like use them. Divine Blessing is one of those weapons. It's one of those items in the game that I collect but don't use, because there are a limited number of them. So I'm always like, well, I'll wait until I really need it, and then I never use it. The pendant is the useless one, so that's essentially nothing except that you just happen to have a pendant. It really doesn't do anything. I had a couple of characters, starting characters, that took the pendant, because apparently Miyazaki, the head developer of this game, had said that if he was going to play Dark Souls, he would start with the pendant. So I thought that there must be some secret use to it. And it turns out they're not. He was just trolling.
There is not. Yes.
And, well, he was either trolling or he was like, well, I would take the pendant because it doesn't do anything, so you get no advantage whatsoever. The most common starting item, or the starting gift, is, of course, the Master Key. And people take that because it allows you to get to a bunch of places in the game that you would normally not be able to get to. It also, for people just starting the game, allows you to get to a bunch of places that you probably shouldn't go if you're not familiar or not sure what's going on. But I'm taking the Old Witch's Ring. Any one of these items can be acquired during the game. The Old Witch's Ring is actually, to me, the most difficult to acquire. You can get it in the game, but you have to get an item that's fairly late in the game and then trade it for something else. I don't want to get rid of that item once I get it, and it's going to take me a while. So that's why I get the Old Witch's Ring as my gift, and that's why I pretty much always do once I found out that the pendant was useless. So
It was a big old troll.
Yep.
Now, I, on the other hand, have played with every single one of the gifts, with the exception of the pendant, because unlike MK, I am nosy and want to know why people do everything. So I, of course, went online and found out. However, I am also one of those people who always takes the Master Key because, well, I've played this game enough, and I like to get places that I'm not supposed to be early, because that's just how I am. Now, it is going to prove interesting in the game because I will have access to areas that MK will not. So it will be kind of interesting to watch this, and we've had to do this before where we have to play around each other in order to be able to co-op together. So it does add an interesting dynamic. So I am almost done, MK, with my character creation.
Oh, well.
With yours.
I should move my ass then. I'm just going to go ahead and start the game with this character, because people don't need to watch me do this anymore.
Well, I'm starting it as well, so I'm going to be quiet during the cutscene.
Okay.
Shh. The world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arched trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire. And with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. From the dark, they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath, the scales, betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side. Yes, indeed. The dark side brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Alright, I've just stood up into the middle of a shadow of somebody else, which may in fact be Cogent Blue standing there.
It is. I am, in fact, I just set up too.
So yes, this is us. This is us. And after, all the not very much time I spent with the character creation, I look like a piece of old shoe leather. So, yay!
I was going to say beef jerky, but shoe
Yep.
leather works.
Yep. But at least I have the key out of here. So, yeah, somebody tossed us a key.
Do you remember the first time you went through here?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
Like I just remember because all I knew about this game was how hard it was, right? Because I went on Reddit, of course, and because
Yeah.
again, like I said before, like I love to read up on all kinds of crap and how what am I getting into? Oh yeah, and so I got involved in this game, and I just remember reading how difficult it was, and so when the game started, I remember being scared quite literally shitless. I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh
Yep.
my God, I'm horrible at video games. I'm going to die.
Yep.
Um, so it always made me feel better when you told me that you felt the same.
Oh yeah, exactly. And by the way, I'm just running past these guys. These are like little practice. These are hollows. They are completely insane little naked people. You can kill them. I've got this little shank. It's not even good as a shank, but you don't have to, and there's really no point. So I'm just gonna leave it there. And yeah, this fine fellow here is somebody we'll be encountering later. So yeah, I exactly the same thing going through this game, like, oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? And also, we should give some background. We had previously come, both of us, from playing games in the Final Fantasy and Dragon Age series, which are, similar in the fact that they're RPGs, but very different in the sense of, like, I was not used to this kind of freedom of movement where I can just, like, I've got all this running around and rolling and dodging, and the fact that dodging is necessary, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just even in a game like Dragon Age, which is a little bit more free than the standard kind of turn-based RPG, it's still like, you do your maneuvers or you call out your shots and your move, and that's it. You execute it, the other side does theirs, and if you get hit, there's really nothing you can do about it. You're gonna get hit, you take your damage, and so yeah, this whole thing of like this amount of control, and control in quotes, is not something I was used to. And
Nope.
so yeah, it was completely intimidating, even though I had seen the beginning of Halloween's playthrough, and partly because I guess I had seen, because I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and blah blah blah. So yeah, hi, I'm leaving. Nope. So that's the first boss
What
fight, which you can just run past because as I said, I have a shank. And so you can, I've seen people do it. I've seen people actually spend the time, the however many years it would take to fight that thing with, the 2 damage per hit you would do with this. I'm not one of those people.
Neither am I. And I mean, unless you were like pretending you're in prison or something and you're shinking, I just really don't think that that's a good use of your time.
Yeah. By the way, I'm taking off this old witch's ring because it's kind of useless right now. I know I took it as my gift, but it's got no point until a little bit later. So.
You know what I think is interesting about
Bit.
starting off as a bandit?
Yeah.
When I have my opening weapons, which are a battle axe and the spider shield, I have medium rolls.
Yeah. I'm
This
not
is going
surprised.
to take some getting used to.
Yes, this is going to be one of the first for Dark Souls 3 player notes, which is that yeah, there is such a thing in Dark Souls 1 as medium rolls. That's not the case. Pretty much in Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3, there are super light rolls. There are rolls, and there's fat rolling, which is, you're overburdened and you can't move. Or at least you can't roll. And then if you're super overburdened, you can't even move. In this game, there are medium rolls, which, well, I have light rolls, so you can't see it. This is Oscar. Oscar is very nice, but he's a bit busted up right now. He's the person who very kindly dropped us the key. So we're going to talk to him.
You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity.
Yeah, Oscar's in bad shape.
Something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
So the theory is that,
I have
and I see no reason to dispute it, is that, Oscar
perhaps you can keep the torch lit.
busted out and has been trying to break other people out, and then got caught by the demon who just dropped in on us, and knocked through the roof, and is now, that's why he's now down here dying.
When thou ringest the bell of awakening, the fate
Why he's in full armor, I mean, why he was allowed to be in prison in his full armor set with his very nice shield, I don't know.
One more thing.
But, you know, video games.
Here, take this.
Video game logic.
An Estus flask. An undead
Now,
food.
MK, I'm not sure. Did you? I've gotten through. You know, I've spoken to Oscar and everyone, and I'm pretty much up at the boss.
Yep.
You know, gate. Did you? I'm happy to just wait, but obviously, since you know everyone's watching your game, I don't want to interrupt. You know,
Now I must bid farewell.
because we should probably say this now and get it out of the way, since
go.
you know.
And thank you.
I'm so delicate and dainty. I cuss a lot. Fuck is my favorite word. If it offends you, I do apologize. Actually, I don't really, but it shouldn't offend you because it's a wonderful word. It's very, very versatile. But it is my favorite. So I have a tendency of using it in a string of expletives when fighting things in Dark Souls. So I'm trying to not fight the boss until you're done with your walkthrough, MK, so that I'm not distracting it.
No, that's fine. Well, I mean, I think we should just let the people get used to what they're going to get, because that's what's going to happen. So, so you go on ahead.
You do you. You just do you. You do you.
Yep. So as a pyromancer, I now have a pyromancy flame. I get this extra little piece of equipment, which allows me to throw fireballs, which is wonderful.
What is your opening weapon, too?
It's the hand axe.
Oh, that's who gets the hand axe. That's right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 All right. I'm going through here. God help me.
So I just, I just got cute and thought I would try to parry. I can
Who are you
parry.
parrying?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh, the hollows.
No, you fucking dick. No. Stop. Okay, you need to be dead. All right, you're dead. I also remember the first time I fought this boss. My first playthrough was as a mage, of course, as I said earlier, named Alexander, whom I loved. But fighting as a mage when you are already... And why... You know, now that I think about it, MK, I don't know what it was with me starting with the squishiest possible...
Well...
the squishiest possible class to start
Yeah.
with.
The thing is, the factor of squish, I think, was just not in your... That was not something in your consideration, because, you know, again, it was... Based on the games that we previously played, we were just sort of like, oh, okay, well, you know, I have magic, haha, and, you know, playing in, like, Final Fantasy or whatever, it's just sort of like, you know, you have armor, that's what you have, and, yeah, I don't know, it's just sort of like, again, it's one of those things where you don't really consider it.
Nope.
So, okay, so there goes the Asylum Demon. And some doors are going to open for us. Yes? No? No. I guess not. Okay. So yeah, yeah, it just is not a thing that you normally think about, or at least with those other games. Or like, yeah, I mean, I guess playing a mage in something like Dragon Age, your armor is lighter, but you stand farther back. And I think it's I think it's the proximity thing. The thing that startled you was like how often you found yourself having to actually dodge hits and get up in their face,
yes.
or have them in your face, even if you didn't really want them to. So,
and I think you brought up a really good point before. You know, I think the reason this video game has become so beloved, as I know by you and I, is that it stopped babysitting us the way that other video games did. So, like with Final Fantasy, you know, you don't fall off the edge because they put up an idiot wall, right? Well, Dark Souls is like, well, fuck you, I'm going to take the idiot wall down, and you just fly off the wall because you are, I guess, a middle, you know, a ballerina.
To the
No more Red
land
Bull.
of the
A
ancient
ballerina
lords.
at heart, and you just peer away off the wall. But anyway, and I think that's what I love about the game is that it does punish you for acting like an idiot. And I think that in a lot of ways it replicates, as close to what real life would be like. If okay, fine, you want to play as a mage, great. There's a great big demon in front of you, and I tell you what, you are in robes. So
Yep.
you chose this. These are your cards. You have to play your hand,
Yep.
or you die.
Yep.
And I like that a lot about the game.
Yeah. Well, and it's what you just said is funny because it's just sort of like, yes, we like this game because it
Hurts us.
it hurts us. Yes. It's beaten us until we loved it.
Which speaks deeply, deeply about our psyches. Please love me. Hit me more, sir.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know what that says about us, but here we are. Yeah, it is that. And it's funny because the previous game, the only previous game that I can recall playing that didn't have those kind of, the baby bumpers, essentially, on the path so that you don't fall off, was the cartoon version of The Hobbit. So I'm not talking about, like, the Lego version of The Hobbit. There's a very... I think definitely
for the
before
PS2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely before the Hobbit movies came out. It may even have been before the Lord of the Rings, or maybe it was just about when the Lord of the Rings films came out. There was like a cartoon version of the Hobbit that came out, and it was a platformer. It was meant to be for small children. It was very cartoonish. It's a platformer, and like a collect 'em all kind of thing. You run around collecting little gems and whatever. And I mean, it obviously wasn't meant to be very serious or super faithful, although it was as faithful as it could be. Adaptation of the Hobbit story or whatever. But that thing had absolutely no borders. If your little Hobbit toes could cling on to a ledge, you were there. If you could somehow get to a surface or a rock or anything, it would have let you. But then, of course, you would have to, find some way to get off of it, which very often involved falling to your death. At least it did for me. It was, yeah. So, but yeah. Other than that, I was used to playing the slightly more kind of like babysitting games. Not that those aren't difficult, but they're just difficult in different ways. So yeah. So I'm collecting things in Firelink Shrine. I didn't want to talk to any of the NPCs. These are skeletons that are going to get up, and I want nothing to do with them. So I'm going to run away.
Wait. Where are you currently?
I'm at Firelink.
Oh, well, okay, I was...
You've been sitting
here,
around.
like, okay, I've killed it. Yeah, I was, like, screwing around at the asylum. I'm like, MK's gonna tell me anytime when she's ready to go.
Sorry.
And then I'll go, and we'll be gone. All right, well, great. Well, I'm at Firelink Shrine as well.
Yay.
Did you, since I'm not in your game, did you get a chance to talk to the crestfallen dickwad?
No, I have not, because I wanted to speak about him.
We have here.
So, yeah. So I'm going to talk over him. He's just morose and emo. He is actually here for your edification and for your instruction. He does tell you some interesting information.
Yes.
Passes along some gossip. Maybe says some cryptic crap to make you start thinking about other stuff that so they're not actually hints, but if you pay attention and care, you might you might hear some tips. He's giving some just straight up exposition right now, telling you this is what you have to do. So it is kind of, this Firelink Shrine is the hub of this game. It's just like, any RPG has town, the hub-based town where you get all your missions or whatever. So this game's version of that is Firelink Shrine, and so he's your standard exposition character that sits here and tells you basically how to start, where to go.
How to Dark Soul.
Yeah, well, not really, but yes, I mean, yeah, where to start. So he does tell you about what he's doing right now. He's telling you about, I'm so hollow, again, with the beef jerky face. He does indicate that there's something you can do about that, which is exactly what he's saying now. Restoring your humanity, which is something I'm going to have to do before we co-op. But yeah. But unfortunately, he's a whiny little bastard. So he's very easy to ignore or tune out, or want to kill. Cogent Blue, do you have anything to say about that?
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never tried to kill him a day in my life. Well, my first playthrough is the one that sticks out of all, and I have, we were just talking about this a few days ago, I have almost 1,100 hours logged on this game between the PS3 and now the PS4. So obviously my love of this game is rather intense, and also I have no social life. But, so my first playthrough, though, is my favorite, and I came in and I decided to read on Reddit what I was supposed to be doing, and some incredibly helpful jackass said, well, you know, the guy in the gray, just kill him, that way you get his humanity, and you get it out of the way. So here I am, this squishy mage, first time on Dark Souls, absolutely, somebody in the internet, because the internet's always right, tells the truth, tells me to, so me and my low-level intelligence here just decides to kill him and proceed, I think. Wow, I don't remember how long it took, but he chased me around Firelink Shrine, and every time I came back, he was aggroed. So he literally chased me around Firelink Shrine. Made me so angry, in fact, so nervous that I quit that game, started another character, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm never going to, you know, it's never going to leave me alone. Got bored with the second character, came back to the first character, and finally just jumped off a cliff, and he followed me, and he died.
Yep.
Ever since then, I've had a personal vendetta against that character, and killed him at my earliest opportunity.
Yeah.
I hate him.
But yes, we do not recommend killing the Crestfallen Warrior.
No.
First of all, he does actually give some useful information. And that thing that just happened where my head looked like it was on fire, that was me getting an extra Estus flask. You can see I started out with 10. I have 10 from resting at this bonfire because it is kindled, which we will talk about a little bit more. But if somebody kindles the last bonfire that you rested at, you get an extra Estus flask, and then the extra Estus flies into your head, and it briefly looks like your head is on fire. What I'm doing is I'm taking the elevator down to...
This girl is on fire! Sorry.
That's fine. I'm taking the elevator down to a place called New Londo, which is not some place I'm going to spend a lot of time in. It's mostly for later in the game, but there's a person that I want to talk to. And I have souls, so I got soul. And instead of spending them on leveling up, I'm going to spend at least some of them with this gentleman here. Because as I said, I'm going to be a caster. And
yeah, and the one thing we did not mention, which I should mention right now as I'm running by Petrus, the miracle guy, I actually will not be using magic or faith for the first time ever in any playthrough, any iteration of Dark Souls. I have never, ever, ever, ever not had... now I am going to probably attach some pyromancy, but
yeah.
All of my focus, all of it, is going to be on strength and building a solid character. So this is going to be very, very interesting.
Yep. Well, and especially a weapon that's as slow as this Zweihander, which, by the way, if nobody's familiar with the Giant Dad build, this is a build that a player came up with and popularized, and it is still popular because I still see them this day, although they're usually not helpful. They are usually, it's a PvP build. It's beloved by PvPers and specifically invaders, because it's a clever build.
It is, absolutely.
But it's not fun. Nope. For the people who invade them. And so yes, Cogent Blue is going to be a helpful Giant Dad.
Well, and that was part of the reason I didn't want to do it in the first place, because of course my associations with Giant Dads have never been positive, and certainly being somebody who has been invaded by, more than what I consider to be my fair share of them, the idea that I'm actively choosing to be a class A that I'm not familiar with very well, and B, choosing to build a character that I've had all kinds of trouble with, was not the first place I was going to go. But I wanted to do something different, and especially because we were going to be, putting this out together, I wanted to do something unique and something that was fun and something that was going to be more of a challenge for me. Not that the game is not challenging, of course. It does not need any help in that department. But yeah, to play as that kind of character, and then yes, exactly, to kind of change to flip the script and be a nice, helpful giant dad is going to be interesting. I have actually put, I don't know how many points that I had into endurance, and I still have medium rolls.
Yeah. I mean, you may have to just lose some equipment. Oh, well, I mean, you can either endure the medium rolls or you could lose some equipment. So, yeah, I think we'd started a discussion on the different types of rolls, and then I got into a boss fight. So, but yeah, so there's medium rolls. You haven't seen them on my character yet because, fortunately, my character starts in light rolls. Although I've just equipped a Sorcerer's Catalyst that may put me into medium rolls. So what I've done while we were talking is there's an NPC down in New London Ruins. It's a little bit of metagaming, but what the hell. So yeah, there's a dude down there. He's a sorcerer dude, and because, as I said, I'm going to try to be as much of a caster as I possibly can. No, I still have light rolls. So I've purchased a soul arrow spell and a catalyst. So I can now attune magic. I have 2 attunement slots to start with, because I am a fabulous pyromancer. So I now have stuff. Now, for those of you who are used to playing Dark Souls 3, you may wonder what these numbers are at the top. So you only get a limited number of casts for each spell, pyromancy, miracle, or whatever that you equip. So I've got 30 soul arrows and 8 fireballs. That's all I have. So I can't be... It's going to be difficult for me to be a 100% caster because there's going to be a period of time in which my my stuff runs out.
Yep.
But this is going to be my setup for a little while, and hopefully that won't fail too miserably. If it does, there's no respecking in this game, by the way. Unlike Dark Souls 2 and 3, you can't redo your character's stats. But if, as I said, I'm going to be focusing on intelligence, attunement, and dexterity, so that if a little bit of dexterity, and so if I completely fail at this build, I can just be like a straight up intelligence sorcerer type build. But we'll see how this goes. I think I've collected all the things. Let me go talk to Petrus. Petrus is our cleric man. Oh, I know, I missed one thing. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello
I
there.
believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thurland. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
Yeah, so Petrus wants nothing to do with me. Petrus is also carrying a noob shield, I've just recognized. He's carrying the knight shield, which is not very good.
Hello there. I realize that but I also want you to know...
And it's always so interesting because you have to work so hard to get it.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Here, take this.
We have our first death, ladies and gentlemen, our first death.
Oh dear.
I literally just walked off the aqueduct. Like, not even doing something cute. I just walked right the hell off the side of the aqueduct.
Yes. Dark Souls, everybody.
Dark Souls! Thank you very much.
Yay.
Be here all week.
So yeah, I mean we don't claim to be Dark Souls experts, but even people who are,
God, no.
Even people who are experienced Dark Souls players can occasionally do stuff like that. So.
Well, some of my best deaths have been because I was being stupid. Like some of the best deaths I've ever had that have not involved, dying to a boss or to another character have been as a result of me walking off of things, of me walking into ambushes that I knew were there. Which I think that's one of my personal favorites, is when I know something is there and I'm just like, I'm gonna go do this thing.
Yay!
Watch me. Oh wait, I'm dead. Yay. So, ow. Okay. All right, boys. Listen. No. The other thing that's kind of interesting right now is I of course have a whole bunch of other playthroughs going on, and I have all of my characters are like level 75 and above. So the fact that I'm having to work a little bit harder to kill things is taking me a second to get used to.
Yeah. Yeah. You do really start with absolutely nothing.
Nope. But I do think that the great part of the game that I appreciate the most is it does breed humility. And if you're not going to be humble while playing it, the game will teach you to be humble.
Yep.
Um, and there's really not going to be, any way around that. You are either going to, you're either going to play and learn to be okay with dying and so on and so forth, or you're just going to get frustrated and rage quit.
Yep.
Which I like.
Now, that said, while the game does indeed teach you humility, it also fosters a great deal of arrogance because once you've done a thing in the game, you get to a point where it's just sort of like, yes, I've killed this boss, or some sort of milestones. Because that's the thing about this game is that people go, why in the world would somebody want to play a game that makes them feel so stupid? And we did. Both of us individually felt like, okay, suddenly my hands have been replaced with cheese. I can't video game. My fingers don't work. This is terrible. I'm terrible. This hill that I just got up, that I just traversed. You have no idea how long it took me the first time I played this game just to get up that goddamn hill. And I know not everybody,
yes.
yeah, not everybody has that problem. I mean, I've seen people play this game I've seen most people play this game for the first time who haven't had quite that much difficulty. Oh, I got a short sword. But, again, this was my first game of its type. It was my first action RPG, and just the whole concept of having quite this much freedom and ability to not only control yourself or control your own actions, but also the necessity of doing things like dodging and whatever. So, yeah, I spent so long failing to do what I just did fairly easily, which is get up that stupid hill with that little, selection of very easy early game enemies, and yeah, I felt really stupid. And it goes, that happens throughout the game. You reach this obstacle, you have trouble with it, you go, my God, what has happened to me? Why can I suddenly not function? And your life is very sad for a little bit. But
yes,
then
so much sadness.
So much sadness. I'm going to switch to a melee weapon for this next bit. So then you overcome this obstacle, and you feel good about yourself. And the side effect of this is that you do get a number of people in the Dark Souls community who, once they've figured out how to do a thing, are then happy to mansplain it to you.
Yes.
Or gamesplain it to you. Exactly.
Or tell you how you're doing it wrong.
How you're doing it wrong, how you need to do it. And, there we go. Parrying, folks. I'm parrying in this game because this is the only Dark Souls game in which I can parry. I am absolutely terrible at it in every other Dark Souls game, so I'm going to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. It also helps me kill things faster. Anyway, so yeah, the thing, of course, with Dark Souls is that there are several ways to play it, so that, the people who say, oh, this is the way you have to do it, funnily enough, there are a lot of different ways that people say is the only way that you can possibly play Dark Souls. You have to have this particular weapon. You have to take this particular path. You have to take this particular starting gift. You have to do this skip. You have to get this you have to get this weapon. You have to do this build. Blah 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 blah. None of which is true.
Yep. Nope. None of which is true, quite literally at all.
Nope.
Ow, you bastard! Don't you dare! Oh my God!
People play as many ways as everybody dies at this game. People win at this game in a lot of different ways, and we have our own way of playing this game, which isn't necessarily
the correct way.
This isn't necessarily the correct way, but it isn't necessarily the incorrect way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, MK, a quick question.
Yep.
Just as we're kind of going through this, did you, since one of us has to get the white soapstone, would you like me to get it, and then I can come back and you can summon me? How would you like to?
I just pretty much
this
figured
is-
like whoever did it first, like whoever
okay.
whoever got through the Taurus demon first, and got to Solaire would be it.
Golden. Okay. All right. It's so weird, and it's funny. So I'm at the merchant in the Undead Burg, and I'm so accustomed to looking for Dex, looking for Dex weapons that I'm just like, oh, I could totally use. Oh wait, no, I can't. Oh, I could. No, can't use that either. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Right up here. You know, but it, I think the Dark Souls community has definitely matured and changed, and I think for the good, since we first started playing when the game came out. And, you know, well, when you and I started playing, actually, the game had been out for a couple of years.
Yeah, like 4.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's right, it had been. It was still going strong on the PS3, but, you know, I really think that there's a lot of the toxicity that once existed. I think it started to fall to the wayside as, you know, the game has gotten older and players have gotten older. But it's interesting, the higher up you get, the more respectful things like invaders become. And I always thought that was kind of a really interesting change, because in the beginning, you know, a lot of the invaders that you deal with in this game are just very harsh and,
Yep.
you know, often resort to childish antics, and the higher up you get, that seems to change, and I really appreciate that.
I also think there's a difference between the PC and console community. Sorry for anybody who's a PC Master Race person, but the people on the console are much nicer.
Oh my God, I just literally reached in to get my bow. This is going to be impossible. Good grief. Ugh.
Now I say that I'm wasting all of my frickin' goddamn spear enemies. Nope. Yes, we have played Dark Souls before, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. So this is what I was talking about with being out of our console comfort zone. So yeah, when I say the people on the console are much nicer, I'm talking about, you know, for the most part, your average person that you encounter, at least in my experience, the average person that I encounter on the PC is not as nice as the one that I will encounter on the PlayStation.
Which I always thought is so interesting. Like, that's just such an interesting... I don't know. I just have always thought that, because you've told me this before, and I've always thought that was just so fascinating, and I wonder why that is.
I mean, I don't know. It's possible that that at least part of it is because on the console, you're more accountable because it's easier for people to find you. You know, so it's
a good point.
It's easier to have and have friendly conversations as well. You know, you help somebody in a boss fight, and then they'll send you a chat and be like, "Hey, thanks," and then you get in conversations and you make friends, and you know, hey Macarena, and so that may be part of it. Otherwise, I don't know.
Thank you kindly.
Yep. Oh. Yeah.
I forgot to talk to this guy.
Wow. I hope you brought.
Yeah, this is the undead merchant. You'll notice he's petting something. That's accounting for that weird kind of scratching noise or scraping noise, I think. But yeah, he'll explain what that is. But yeah, it looks like he's petting his basket, but he's not actually. Yes, and he's warning you about the humongous drake and the bull demon. So, you know, if you're looking at online guides, and I'm not going to buy anything, he's going to get mad at me. Yep.
What a waste of time.
Yep.
Go and fall off a cliff.
Yep, he's telling me to fall off a cliff. I literally just bought something from him, and now he's being rude. So yeah, what was I gonna say? I don't know what I was talking about. Yay!
I think the heat is starting to addle our little brain.
Yes, we, for the benefit of our viewers, we have all air conditioners and fans off, and actually my timer is about to, in a minute, tell me that we need to stop. Yeah, we have all air conditioners and fans off, and neither of us likes being hot, by the way, so,
It's great. I just love it. I love being hot. I love August. It's wonderful.
Yeah. The sacrifice was made for you.
Oh, well, the thing is, well, okay. Let's call a spade a spade. For frickin' Dark Souls, I would do this shit. All right. Nobody else. If my mother asked me to sit in a hot apartment, I would tell her exactly where to go and how to get there. But Dark Souls, absolutely.
Yep, that's my
Absolutely.
timer.
I will sit in a hard apartment while we play Dark Souls.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to go back and actually I'm going to first equip my new shield that I got, which I equipped and then immediately abandoned, and I still have light rolls. Okay.
Dude, you're in my way. Come on.
Alright, so I'm going to sit back down at this bonfire and stop the recording. So this hasn't been terribly eventful, except for the fact that it's our inaugural video. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! So we are, as I said, somewhat splendid. Hopefully we'll get a bit more splendid as we work out the kinks. Please let us know what you think and how the sound is. We did spend some considerable amount of time trying to get this right. We are recording off the PS4, which is a bit more difficult to do than off the PS3. I am also, because of various factors, including the setup of my apartment, not recording the audio separately. So for those of you who have, in fact, done recordings before, are interested in how they do, this also has been a factor. So with all of that in mind, we have gotten the best equipment we can to get the best sound quality that we can, but please let us know if there's one of us that you can't hear, if we are too loud, if you hear background noise. Yep. If you hear background noise, which you shouldn't hear background noise, I spent a very long time trying to eliminate all the background noise. But, if there are any comments, feedback, whatever, obviously this is our very first video. I know that even for successful YouTubers, their first video is always a little bit rough. We tried to make it as painless as possible on you guys, but there we go. I do want to thank Halloween4545 for introducing me to Dark Souls. Thank you so much, in occupying several years of my life. And but also I want to thank Notorious BLT. So that's Notorious BLT, like the sandwich. And you can actually find him on YouTube as Notorious_BLT. Yeah, we started out playing Dark Souls almost together. He started a little bit after me, and once I got comfortable with the game, I started following along on his playthrough because, misery loves company. I wanted to see somebody suffering through the same things that I just suffered through. And thus was the beginning of a beautiful internet friendship. And so he helped me. I do want to actually thank him because he helped me with some of the... just sort of to get started with the recording, the technicalities of this. He mostly records off the PC, but has done some recording off the PS4. And I came to him like, "How do you do that?" Oh my god, it's like press a button and like make it go. And I didn't actually do that. But so he gave me some tips and was very helpful with that. And you should also go check out his channel. He does very good playthroughs, especially very good blind playthroughs. He has done blind playthroughs of all of the Dark Souls games. I'm not sure if his playthrough of Bloodborne was blind necessarily. I know he had played at least some of it, if not all of it, before he did his recording of it. But he's done blind playthroughs of all the Dark Souls. So if you're looking for, first time boss reactions and like holy shit, what was that sort of things, he's very good at that. He takes the time to really explore things, and he's not one of those people that like rushes in blind but doesn't talk to anybody or doesn't read anything or anything like that. He takes the time, and he is just very good about that. He's also just, very satisfying sort of first time reactions to things like bosses and areas and all that kind of stuff, except that he gets lost still to this day. Games that he's played before.
Yeah.
So that's the only caveat. But that's fine. So as I said, please go check him out. And that was pretty much all I wanted to say. Also, thank you to Tailport for being our first subscriber, even before we'd actually put up a video. So we'll be talking more about Notorious BLT and Tailport because I've done videos with them on Notorious BLT's channel and blah, blah, blah. But so, yeah, I'm standing here by the bonfire not doing anything. Cogent?
I have the white soapstone.
Oh, well. Congratulations. Okay, so cool. I will
Yes.
be able to summon you when we come back for our next episode. But we're gonna go turn our air conditioners on for a little bit. I'm gonna let my my PS4 cool off, and we'll be back.
Bye!
Bye.